Welcome back to our home. I am sitting down to meal plan for our family of 5 for the week, and I'm going to take you along with me as I do it. This is the number one way that we're able to feed our family on a below average food budget. There are lots of different things we do. I have other videos on other things we do, but meal planning is the number one way that we can feed our family mindfully in terms of health and planet and ethics, but also do it on a below average food budget. So I'm going to take you through the way that I do it. If you want to grab a pen and paper, you can do it with me. I will give you the prompts that I give myself, and we can do it together if you're out of practice and you need to get back in the rhythm of meal planning, or if you don't meal plan, or if you do and you just want someone to do it with. We're going to do it right now. If this is your first time watching a video from me, I'm Kezia. My goal on the internet is to make lower footprint living feel a bit less complicated and a bit more budget friendly. It is hard enough to get food on the table on an average or below average budget, but to do it while also making sustainable or ethical, fair trade, healthy choices can be so hard. This is my number one tip. Plan it out and then use the planning to learn week on week what works for you and whoever you are responsible for in your home. So grab your pen and paper. There are many ways that meal planning helps to reduce our budget. It means that everything that comes into our home comes in with a purpose and we know where it's going to get used. So we don't buy more than we need, thinking maybe we need that or maybe we need that. We can really streamline and dovetail our shopping so nothing needs to go bad in the fridge. Even without changing what we buy or what we eat, it saves money just to plan. It also means we can use some cheaper ways of preparing food because we have a plan in advance. So if each day we're thinking about dinner at 4 or 5 p.m., we're limited in some budget-friendly options like soaking and sprouting beans from scratch, like making our own bread or tortillas or rolls or hot dog buns or anything like that that is going to save us a bit of money, and also packaging. So planning ahead lets us do the same meals and the same foods but in a slightly cheaper way. It also means our weeks are a lot more peaceful. This usually takes about 5 minutes. Usually we'll sit at that coffee table at breakfast one day in the week and we'll say, all right, we're meal planning for the week. What do we want to eat? Does anyone have any suggestions? And we'll just do it together as a family, which then helps buy-in. It helps people get excited about what's on the meal plan, and it helps people not eat something that's purchased for a different meal. It is a bit of work once a week, but it is a bit of work once a week that pays off in so many ways and keeps us on budget without suddenly having to eat just toast and beans and rice at the end of the month. We know that through the month, we are on track to hit our budget. So let's dive in. Grab that piece of paper if you're going to do it with me. I don't use a prefab budget planner. I just have a piece of paper. It's often the back of an envelope or a piece of kid art that we just don't need to put on the fridge, and I will scribble this on the back of it. I'm going to start by filling that out. You also need to start it on a day that works for you. So I have recently changed how we do this. It's such a tiny thing, but actually in how it works in a busy week, it really matters. So our veg box arrives on a Wednesday now. It didn't used to, so we've shifted when we do this. We also now have kids at home all the time. I don't want to spend a morning shopping or part of a morning shopping with the toddler because I have bigger kids at home as well. So we've switched it up so that we will shop on a Tuesday night, veg box arrive Wednesday morning, and then the meal plan starts on a Wednesday morning. So it just means it fits in our week, it's all about being practical, simple, and working for real life. So I'm going to start this on a Wednesday and just go Wednesday through Tuesday. So we're going to write those days in here, and then I'm just going to write breakfast, lunch, and dinner across the top. Now I'm going to leave a space at the bottom for 2 things. Sometimes it's another piece of paper, but I find having it all on one sheet helps me out. So then we're going to divide this up. Okay, so we've got 21 very messy spaces, but it works. Then the next thing, again, usually we're doing this down here, the whole family is here. We'll pull out the calendar and jot down what meals we do or don't need for the week. It might look like, okay, we're eating out that meal, or we have extra people over that meal, or that meal we're going to need to eat on the go because we're driving between clubs. It's got to be a to-go meal, or that lunch we're taking a picnic. So it's got to be a meal that we can pack up. So I kind of write anything that's going to influence what we're choosing for the meal. So jot that down if you're doing this with me. Look through your calendar. How many people do you have at each meal? Is it a different number? Are there certain things that will define what you're going to put on your meal plan? So for me, On Wednesday night, we are shooting some photos for a brand, some friends of ours. So dinner is going to need to be pre-prepped. We're shooting at sunset, which is dinner time. So I'm going to pop that in there, that we're shooting. And so it's going to need to be a pre-prepared meal. No. Then Thursday is football night for us. What else have we got? Sunday, we are probably going to be with my parents. So we'll take something, but not a whole meal. I'm looking after a friend's child, so we are +1 for lunch on Tuesday. So I've got that basic structure. That's gonna help me know not to make a high prep meal when we're picnicking or on the road, or help us to know when food prep needs to happen or what meals we're gonna pop in these slots. The next thing I do is pop in certain meals that we eat every week. Everyone is different in how much variety they like. I love having certain things that are just always this meal, and then it can be adapted with seasons, with what you put in it or what veggies go on the side or things like that. But every Saturday in our house is pizza night. We'll do a long fermented pizza dough. I can make it on the Friday. It's really easy to pull out on the Saturday and make pizza. Everyone knows it's pizza night. We can then, if we want, double up and make leftovers for Sunday lunch, or if we need packed lunches for Monday, we can double or triple the dough. But Saturday is always pizza night. Then we'll change toppings with what's in the garden seasonally, or put something on the side, but it's always pizza. We start the weekend always with waffles. Again, we can change the fruit that goes on top, but it's always waffles for Saturday breakfast. So we pop that in there as well. Sunday night is typically leftovers night. There's no fully prepped meal on a Sunday night. It is like an eat up the leftovers meal. And eating up leftovers is very scrappy. It'll be one portion of rice and veg and one crust of toast. We are really diving in and making sure that everything gets used, and often we can come up with a decent amount of a meal, because it also means if I have a little bit of something left through the week, I'm saving it instead of tossing it in the compost, because I know there's a place for it to go. So it both stops us from wasting food, but also helps us not buy food for that meal. So make sure that there are leftovers meals in there. If you don't have any regular meals, don't pop them in, but maybe it's something you want to start doing. It also takes some of the mental work out of meal prep to have a structure and a schedule like that, which I love. Somewhere in the week, we will always do a mac and cheese night. I'm gonna do that on Wednesday and Thursday. That's gonna be a really easy one to make ahead. So I'm gonna put my mac and cheese night in there, and then do it the next night as well. So then we've got football night and this shoot with a friend. Those nights are covered with mac and cheese. The only other meal that we regularly do is Monday and Tuesday are granola mornings. During the term time, my husband goes to London on a Monday and Tuesday. And so I just need to start the week with an easy meal. I don't want to be cooking breakfast. I don't even want people to be in the kitchen putting toast in. We just need grab your granola and do that. Now I've put in that kind of basic structure of our week. Then I'm gonna put a space down here in the bottom. At this point, I go to my kitchen and I go, what needs to be used up? What do I have in the kitchen that I need to use as I build my meal plan? So I'm gonna go check, and then we will come back. This is your moment. Run to your kitchen, have a look. I don't have very much in my kitchen, but I have a bunch of beets that are left over from my veg box we didn't get to, and I have a bunch of celery. So I have beets and celery there that I need to make sure we're gonna get used up. So we've got to incorporate beets and celery. Now I'm gonna just go through and start filling in the rest of the meals. At this point, my brain often goes blank and I think, what do we even eat? I've got all these spots to fill in. What meals does my family even eat? So what I do is I keep a master meal list of meals that we love and that fit our budget and our lifestyle and the time we have for prep and the foods that we're able to get locally on budget. This is another thing I would absolutely recommend. And then you can begin to also note on there how meals fit in terms of budget. And that way you can make sure you're integrating more expensive meals with less expensive meals, and that if you've put in a more expensive one, then especially if you're doing this with other people, like, okay, now we need to choose less expensive meals for the other dinners to make sure this balances out. And if you're trying to pull down spending one week, you know which meals to pick and which meals not to pick. You might just have that in your head, but I think often we don't, or we think meals are cheap that aren't, or vice versa. Or we can adapt a meal. Okay, we're gonna have that, but we're gonna leave off the avocados, or we're gonna do that, but we're gonna make it vegetarian. So we can just begin to have budget a bit more in our minds and be powerful over those budget choices. I'm gonna start with breakfasts. We've got waffles on Saturday. Usually we'll just go to toast on Sunday. We don't have to stick to our breakfasts. That's probably the most flexible part of the meal plan. But I like to have it in there so that I know that we've got enough food in the house to feed our family for the week, even if we shuffle it up. And sometimes we'll shuffle lunches and dinners too, but I know, okay, I've got 2 mac and cheese dinners. I can move one, but there's gonna be one somewhere in the week because that's the food we've bought. So we can be flexible within here, but it has to work as a shuffle on the meal plan. We can't just eat something different without thinking about how that's gonna affect the rest of the week. But in return for that, I know we're gonna stay on budget for the week, and once I've shopped on budget, we're gonna have enough food to feed our family. So then, usually for the rest of the week, it'll be a bit more toast. Maybe we'll do some oatmeal with yogurt, nut butters, fruit, different things like that. And then we might do, if I've got sourdough discard, we might do some sourdough discard pancakes. So that's our breakfast in. Okay, so I've now got 3 more dinners to fill in, and I know that I need to use beets and celery. I'm gonna use the celery as just sides. I'm not gonna cook it into anything this week. I'm just gonna use the celery as sides, so we'll actually put that with the mac and cheese, I think. We'll use that celery up. It's a big bunch, so it'll be sides for 2 days of celery, maybe with some lettuce from the garden. So we've used the celery. We'll put a tick mark by that. Now we've got to get beets in. So I think I'm going to do some bean, grain, and veg bowls. This is another thing that comes up pretty much every week. For us, some form of bean, grain, and veg bowl. It's really easy to pre-prepare. Sometimes I'll do a giant food prep of a bean or a pulse and a grain, and then through the week we can eat it as lunch bowls with different salads or eggs on top or leftovers of other things, and it's just a great base for the week. But we're gonna do some kind of rice, bean, cheese, roasted veg bowl, and I think I'll pop that on Friday. It's usually a bean or a pulse, a grain, veggies, and a sauce. So it might be rice, beans, slaw, and a sriracha mayo. Or it might be quinoa and chickpeas with a carrot hummus and roasted beets. So it can take on a lot of different forms, but it's a really great one that usually populates a few of our meals for the week. Mostly our lunches are leftovers of dinner wherever I can. So I'm gonna put leftovers of those rice and bean bowls in on Saturday, the next day. Okay, so now I've got 5 lunches and 2 more dinners. With all the veg that we have, I'm gonna do a frittata. We've been eating a lot of frittatas. It's such a summer dish to me, just taking whatever is in the garden, cooking it up, potatoes, green beans, zucchini, courgette, beets, peas, tomatoes, so many different things. Cook it all up, whisk up eggs. I do about 8 eggs for our family. Stir in the veg, you can add cheese or little bits of meat. Also great for putting in leftovers. It's a great leftovers dish. And then cook it in the oven, pull it out and serve it with toast or potatoes or something like that. Really easy, feels really great for the summer. So I'm gonna put that in Tuesday night. I think for our first lunches in the week, I'm gonna do some kind of tacos. We'll do some beans, maybe some refried beans, some cabbage slaw, tacos, slaw. We might add some meat. I typically add meat into some of these dishes depending on what I find on sale or on clearance at the supermarket. So mac and cheese, we could add meat there, or we could do that just with maybe a lentil salad side for some extra protein. The rice, bean, veg bowls, we could add meat there. I typically don't, but we could. Tacos, we could add meat there. So I'll tend to add our meat protein in about once or twice a week. And then otherwise we rely on more budget-friendly sources of protein. If I'm gonna buy meat, I want it to be kind of an environmentally and animal conscious kind of meat and how it's raised, which is more expensive. So we typically rely on eggs, yogurt, lentils, other beans, sprouted beans, and other sources of protein as our kind of everyday protein, and then meat is more of a once a week thing rather than centering all our meals around meat. And when we do, it's the cheaper cuts. I'll buy organic chicken carcasses and make broths and take all the meat off them and keep it really budget friendly. If you're in the UK, I will note below the chicken carcasses I get, they're a great price. And we do those probably every other week, or in the winter every week, making soups and things like that. So we've got tacos and salt. I'm then going to repeat that. We might do tacos, it might become quesadillas, but something like that. And then we'll do some eggs and toast on Friday lunch. I'm keeping it really simple. Sometimes I'm more creative, but right now we're kind of getting back into the rhythm after some weeks of summer and having family in town and everything looking a bit different. Still absolutely staying on budget, but it looked different from this to make that work. One thing I use when life is, maybe we're traveling and then we're back for a few days and then we're eating with family for a few days and then we're back and then we're cooking a meal for 15 people, is to look at a per day spend amount. I find that really helpful. So our family budget is £125 a week for our food, which means our per day spend amount is about £17. So if we're in town for 3 days or we're back at home for 3 days, I know I have £17 for each of those 3 days. I try and round down a little bit because then it covers the things we might buy monthly, like flour or coffee or something like that. So I then know even if I'm not budgeting for a week with my £125, I can stay on budget. But equally, if we're eating with other people and say other people have done breakfast and lunch and I'm covering dinner for a crowd, I know, okay, I have £17 to spend on dinner. I'm going to choose accordingly, and maybe we go over a bit and then we know we've got to spend less somewhere else, but it just keeps us powerful over our spending and staying on budget through life, looking lots of different ways rather than going, woo, okay, we way overspent for a month. Okay, where does that happen, or where do we pull that from? Or now we really have half of a grocery budget for the next month and that doesn't work. So that's a nice way for me to stay in tune with how much we have to spend. I'm gonna pull on another pasta meal. Like I said, we're keeping this really easy. I just need to get back into the rhythm. So I'm gonna do pesto, and I am babysitting, and green beans in there. Green beans are in the garden. And honestly, if I'm doing it, I'm gonna do it twice. And we're gonna go pesto pasta here for lunch as well. So then I'm gonna just look over and go, okay, have we chosen expensive meals? Have we chosen easy meals? What have we done? What do I want to put as that final meal? Does it need to be super budget friendly? What does it need to be? I'll get some sausages. We'll do something with sausages. Eggs. We'll do a kind of breakfast for dinner. Maybe some baked beans. We've now filled in every meal on the meal plan. We've used up the items that we had in the kitchen that needed to be used. So this is my goal. Then I have another look over and go, okay, does this work with the notes that I've made in? The football night, the night shooting when we've got someone else here. The one thing I've not done is we're eating out here, and I've not noted in anything I want to take. So I'm going to go, okay, what can I take that's going to stick on budget? We've got a lot of plums on our plum tree. I think I'm going to make a chocolate and plum cake. It will be my normal chocolate cake recipe. There's a video up here. And that will be perfect. Now I'm going to create my shopping list from my meal plan. So I've popped back to the kitchen to look at anything else we need, like salt, vinegar, oil, things like that. We don't need much apart from coffee and washing up liquid. So those are both going down on the list. And then I'm going to go through each day and just note down the ingredients. So starting with toast, I actually get my flour once a quarter from Dove's Farm. It's by far the cheapest way to do it. And it means that my bread comes out to about 80p for an organic sourdough loaf, which really brings the cost of bread products down. So I don't need that. Budget-wise, I take £5 from each week and put it aside for flour so that when it comes around once a quarter, I have the money waiting in my food budget to buy it. And I'm just gonna go through the whole list doing that same thing. So we've done it. We've made our meal plan for the week. We've made our shopping list. Well done if you did it with me. Finish writing your shopping list if you need to in that space at the bottom. Everything can be adjusted. I will often do some adjusting when I get to the shops, and that is why I take my meal plan with me so I can see if it's actually worth adjusting, or I see something on sale and where could I use that. We'll do that in the shop, so this all goes with me. And then this goes up in the kitchen so that we can all see it. We know what's happening, we know what's coming. If there's time for a prep task, we can knock out a prep task. The kids know what's coming, but also we can see, oh, we shouldn't eat the pesto randomly for another lunch because it has a purpose. Something else that really helps us is that this is what we eat for the week. There aren't snacks. I'm not then also buying snack bars and chips and things for snacking in between meals. If someone is really hungry and is struggling, obviously they eat food. But for the most part, this is what we eat. And it means everyone shows up hungry to the meal. So when it's a random leftovers night, people actually want to eat it because we're hungry and we're ready to eat anything. If it's a food that maybe is not a kid's favorite, but they haven't snacked, they've waited till lunch, they've been active and outside, they come in for a meal, they're more motivated to try a new food or to eat something that's not their favorite, but they can eat and they like. But if they've snacked, they're going to turn their nose up at it and then be hungry later and then need something after dinner. And then it is this downward spiral of snacking and not eating the more frugal meals that we've made for meal times. I'm not a snack mom. My kids don't come to me for a snack. Sometimes they'll say, how long until dinner? I'm not constantly making snacks. We make meals. It keeps our life so much simpler and also helps us stay on budget. I know it's a hard one to swallow if you have a routine of snacking. Trust me, try it out. My kids start eating more at meals. It has really helped us to eliminate snacking and just have, this is what we're buying, this is what is planned, this is what we eat for the week. So well done if you did it with me. Feel free to send me a picture. I love this routine, not because I'm a mega planner in life, but because of what it does for our home and keeping us on budget and keeping things so much more peaceful through the week. We're not scrambling for meals. We know what's coming. It really simplifies our life and our budget. So that is why I love it so much. And now you just have to implement it through the week, which is a practice. It's about learning. We learn week on week. Normally now, this is a really quick routine. We do it here. It's a family thing. We do it quickly and then we live by it through the week. There's obviously an element of saving that also is about how we shop, but this video is just about meal planning. And so that is that. And it really is my number one for staying on track. Well done if you did it with me. Go back, watch it again, meal plan again, the prompts, follow the prompts, fast forward, whatever you need to do. But I hope it helps. If you want to keep watching, this series here is what we ate in a week. And it is just taking this and living it out in real life. So you can see how the meals on the page translate to actual real life meals for a family, including somewhere we've been hosting and how we navigate that with budgets and planning things. So that is there. And then here, YouTube will put whatever video it thinks you would like to watch next from our library. So you can see what that is. You can hit follow if you want more weekly encouragement for low footprint living without the complicated and with the budget friendly. And I will see you in another video sometime soon. Have fun with your meal plan this week. Well done making a meal plan.